You give me your impression about yesterday night.
I think we went into a sales season where, in many ways, we were trying to understand the market and to present things which ultimately we knew were going to be for very much the collector, because we saw in any kind of market where there's a sense of a need for correction, and that's certainly what a lot of collectors felt after the November sales, that the market really had to show itself to be a very natural market, and ultimately that the estimates should be there to encourage real strong bidding. So what Loic Gouza did in particular with his sale was ultimately focus on the top collectors and what they're looking for, and ultimately curate a sale for that type of buyer. Because we saw if you go back to 2009, 2010, 2011, and the sort of growth of the market after the fall of 2008, there was very good buying, first of all, in a price range which was consistently below $10 million. But there was also very good buying from quite obsessive collectors. So even in any financial economic situation in the marketplaces outside the art market, which is generally in the world, obsessive collectors who have been collecting for a long time, and when they see something which is very, very special come into market, they will buy it. And that's what we saw with the Catalan. The price on the Catalan was higher than anything that we imagined, and actually higher than ultimately the piece would have made last year. So similarly with the Koons basketball tank, again, the price was higher than we anticipated, and certainly as high as you would imagine this piece would have been valued in the last 3 or 4 years. So again, it was about the focus of collectors on the top objects, but also objects which were more intellectual and more ultimately for people who realize that these things are incredibly rare and missing in their collections.
But the buyers are different. I mean, less Chinese, no Russian. How does it work? What's your analysis?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we saw last night 36 countries participating. Certainly, we've seen certain individuals who've been buying for some time going through their own cycles. So you've got some individuals who've been buying who now want to sell pieces. You've got other individuals who want to basically understand where the values of their works are. So there is certainly a cycle for every collector. What we're seeing now, and the last week in particular, we had a lot of Chinese in town who actually were physically coming through the galleries, and there was bidding last night from Chinese as well as other Asian buyers, and they're different. They're just it's a growth of an area in the market where area in the world where we've got some very strong liquidity. We've also got very strong buyers and the potential of buyers. We've also got new foundations, and I think that's something which we saw last night. Several of the top pieces that were sold to private individuals who have foundations or museums. And I think that's something, again, which was about the sale. I mean, the material was very, very, top quality. And, in each case, whether it was a Richard Prince car hood, it was the best of class of the car hood. And that's why.
But who are the main buyers? American?
I'd say about half of them were American, but it was a relatively similar mix of people that we've seen in the last few seasons. It was just different people. I mean, and in some cases, the top collectors. I mean, certainly the Catalan and the Koons, as I mentioned. There were 5 bidders on the Catalan. That ultimately, in each case, there were people who were very, very established collectors. They weren't new. They ultimately were very, very top level people who understood that this was a piece which could change the whole dynamic of their collection. And I think that's what we saw. And Loic went into the sale process with that mentality. Now, on Tuesday night for us, it's a various owner sale. It's not curated as such. We've curated it here in the rooms, and we've created special senses of how works correlate to each other. Yeah. But it's a broad sale. So that's going to be a broader test of the market, because it's at some level you've got a Basquiat coming in at $40 million.
Yeah.
You've got a Rothko at $30 to $40 million. In the case of the Rothko and the Clifford Still, both those pieces are very undervalued in terms of their estimate strategy. We could have, a year ago with the Rothko, we would have said 45 to 65 without any doubt. And in the case of the Clifford Still, we would have said 30 to 40, even 35 to 45. So we were able to take those in because of the sellers had relatively low costs on the pieces, we were able to basically bring them into auction with a very, very fair estimate strategy. Again, cautious. We want to make sure that people are bidding and that they don't feel that the prices are pushed.
Okay.